Okay, everybody, good evening. Happy Friday evening, June 12th. World Cup is beginning. Go USA tonight. Win the Gold Cup. I got a, I got a video. I'm gonna play the first video on that. Credit to Mel. I got it off Mel's page. I don't know, you guys. There's so much. Everything is coming out. They're saying the storm is here, you guys. The storm is here. I don't know why they keep saying it. So it's going to be a late night tonight. I might have to stay up till 10 o'clock because there's so much stuff coming out. That one video I played on Tulsi Gabbard, it's all over the place. It's on YouTube, Telegram. So I'm glad I played that Tulsi Gabbard video. Oh, what do you know? We got George came out finally tonight. So that's another one. Wow, Daniel, you're first. Where's everybody at?
Holy folks, I mean, talk about lead consulting.
Did you get a notification or not? Oh, where's everybody at? Hey, Carol. You're not going to believe how much stuff I got to share tonight. I got another copyright. Oh, JJ, you see what's coming out, JJ? There's so much. The one clip I saw on Telegram, or almost TikTok or Telegram, but it said, "The storm is upon us. It's here." Okay, sounds good. Carol, thanks. Putting the claimer up. Did you get the photo of what I sent you? I know. I was just. Uh, Itchy, Scratcher, you been working all week? I haven't seen you all week. You're welcome. I was the chosen one to do this since 2020. Kay got a new family member, you guys. Yeah, I know, Paul. I hope I have enough energy um, to cover everything. I'm gonna stay on as long as I can because there's Trisha on YouTube said something was burning. She had a video clip out. I gotta share this real quick. This photo of Carmela. I don't know if anybody's seen it or not. Be ready. Have your bags ready. What the heck is that supposed to be? So, okay, what do you think? All right, you guys. Well, we gotta welcome our new family member. Kay said her name is Bella. Her name is Bella. You know, Kay, that's Michelle's dog's name is Bella. I'll send it over to Michelle. I'll send it to you on Jacqueline on Telegram. I'll send the photo to you. Let me know when you get it. Oh wait, I can do it on the phone. I'm gonna do it on the phone. Yeah, well, welcome. I just sent it to you on the phone, JJ. Well. Oh my God. Oh, we got. Guess she's back. Guess she's back also. Kay. Out of the darkness. Q is back. We got George and Q lad now. Okay, we are going to start. I hope we get a big crowd tonight. We got a lot of great stuff tonight. Oh, JJ, if USA wins, we play Australia next Friday in the World Cup. Who are you going to root for?
Let's go!
4 minutes. On your phone.
USA police on the run. Mexico, Jimenez, here we come. Canada, Davies wear the crown. Argentina, Messi don't back down. Brazil, Vinicius feel the heat. Colombia, James the golden beat. Ecuador, Castell drive it through. Paraguay, Almiron, we see you. Uruguay, Valverde, rise and shine. The Americas, we draw the line. Every star, every fall, every tear on this road was building the fire, was carrying the load. Now the world holds its breath. We're ready to go.
This is a good one.
One fire burning in every soul. One game, one ball, one goal. From Mexico to Montreal, we bleed the same. We love the same. Beautiful game. One fire, higher, higher. Every nation, every street. Spain, Pedri, born to play. Portugal, Ronaldo, never done. England, Bellingham, we've just begun. Germany, works electric flow. Netherlands, Van Dijk, steal the show. Belgium, Lukaku, hear him roar. Austria, Sabitzer, give us more. Switzerland, Chaka, iron will. Turkey, Guler, magic still. One fire burning in every soul. One game, one ball, one goal. From Mexico to Montreal, we bleed the same. We love the same. Beautiful game. One fire, higher, higher. Every nation, every street. Feel your heart, feel the beat. One world, let's go. Croatia, Modric, 40 strong. Serbia, Vlahovic, all along. Denmark, Eriksson, rise again. Scotland, McTominay, feel the ring. Bosnia, Dzeko, all gold hard. Czechia, Suchek, play your part. Europe speaks with 40 tongues, but one fire feels all over long.
Japan, Minamino, Eastern Fire. South Korea,
Sun climbing higher.
Iran, Taremi, never fold. Uzbekistan, Jordan, Al Naimat, make your mark. Australia, Lecky, like the dark. Qatar, Ali, 60 goals. Saudi Arabia, Al Dawsari, lifts our souls.
Morocco, Brahim Diaz, pure class. Algeria, Mahrez, built to last. Egypt, Salah, king of kings, Ghana, party here in ring. Senegal, Mane, heart of gold. Tunisia, Hannibal, brave and bold. Cape Verde, Rodriguez, Island pride. Our Congo, Mbemba, stand beside. Mali, Bissouma, lead the way. Africa is here to stay.
Panama, Karaskila,
Came so far.
Honduras,
Ellie,
Rising Star,
mighty,
Nazo,
never quit.
Curaçao, Martina,
This is it.
New Zealand, across the sea, Iraq, Hussein,
Proud and free.
48 nations, 48 fires, one ball, one pitch, one dream that never tires.
One fire burning in every soul. One game, one ball, one goal. From Mexico to Montreal, we bleed the same. We love the same. Beautiful game, one fire, higher, higher. Every nation, every street. Feel your heart, feel the beat. One world, let's go.
USA,
Mexico,
USA.
one.
Argentina,
Brazil,
come on,
France,
England,
Portugal, one.
Japan, Korea,
Africa, one.
one fire,
One fire,
one game,
one day,
one world.
let's go.
All right, what do you think of that wild opening there? Okay. This is off of Mel's page, the last one, and this one too.
All the more that the United States will host the World Cup in 2026.
Thank you very much. We do host it, and we hope we do as good a job. That's very nice. That will go to my son, Barron. We have no question. In fact, Melania, here you go.
That was good. All right, we got the 2-minute one with the one British lady that you guys, she came out. We'll see.
New players.
I wanted to send a quick message to the little 12-year-old girl in Scotland and her friends and her mum and her family, just to say so well done to you for sticking up for your sister and for your friends and for being brave and bold and brandishing your weapons to tell those people to get away from you. Essentially, this 12-year-old girl and her friends in Scotland were being pestered by a Bulgarian guy saying, oh, I can show you girls a time. And then this Bulgarian monster got his sister, who came and shoved one of our girls, and she banged her head and all sorts of things. But then the Bulgarians claimed that the girls had approached them and were making racist comments about them. None of that happened. But of course, Police Scotland believed the Bulgarians. Police Scotland piled on in. They said that the girls would be arrested, that they would be reported to the relevant authorities to be dealt with, when those little Scottish girls were in the right all along. And it gets worse, because over in social media commentary land, the normal idiots piled on in. Like, for example, Narinder Kaur. She owes a massive apology to those little girls who stood up for themselves, that were right all along and told the truth all along. And Freddie Sayer, the guy that's the Billy Big Boss that runs Unheard and publishes The Spectator and says, oh yes, my father was a QC with a very investigative mind, which is why I've got this brilliant investigative mind that I've got. No, Freddie, you were a posho prick who joined the pylon, who called all of us morons for backing the little girl and didn't believe the little girl's story. You owe her a proper apology. You owe her a sorry for being a massive thundercut. That's the sort of stuff that you should be saying round about now. That's not the point. The point is, to that little girl, the 12-year-old Scottish girl, you should be on the plinth in Trafalgar Square if I had my way. To her friends, good girls for standing up for each other and looking after each other. All girls need to be doing more of that. And to the mum of those little girls, you should be very proud indeed. You said they were telling the truth all along. They were telling the truth all along. Police Scotland owe you a very great deal, including an apology. And I'm just here cheering you all on.
Okay, that was her late one today. So that's her newest one. I got a couple more short ones. The one lady on YouTube from Minnesota had us a different video than normal. I guess there was an attack.
A teenage girl, she's walking down the street.
That's what they're
watching the video. Looks like she's minding her own business, not doing anything. A migrant comes running up behind her and stabbed her in the neck.
That lady's next, you guys.
This is why the Irish people are so angry right now. Why they have reached their tipping point. Because this sort of thing has been happening all over Europe. Europe has brought in this mass migration, and these people cannot assimilate. And it's causing all sorts of problems. But if you talk about it, the government is going to say, oh, we don't tolerate racism here. They're working on a full social media blackout on this. So we need to get as much information out as we can before they do. Burnley, England today.
Hey, that was an important one from the Minnesota lady. Oh, I'm going to play this one, you guys. I thought these are important too. 4 minutes. Is this okay?
Yes, and then we can.
That ET phone off? It's like ET. Yep. Well, this is interesting, you guys. Okay. Coming to our one soon, looks like.
Listen.
All over. Yeah, I played that because I figured that's part of the plan there. Okay, the cat lady, the stage one. Okay. God dang it. Oh.
Some wounds from yesterday. So I am going to be conducting this meeting by myself. I just want you guys to listen. So we have a barrage, as you know, a complete barrage of complaints coming in, saying there's threatening videos being made against white people. We have all just a barrage. I've got a headache from going through it. I'm going to show you one of the videos that was reported, and it does not violate our standards. And I'm trying to get it through to you guys, especially you, Marcy, who keeps violating these people. Stop. This does not go against our standards. Okay? I want you to watch this and tell me, how does this go against TikTok standards?
I wouldn't even just start punching on their ass yet. Like really punching on their ass though. Like they in our communities talking shit. Got this shit twisted. They got all the movies, all the kung fu. They say they bad, they don't need it. Start punching on shit. They be so inferior.
Hey, Michael.
Start punching on shit.
Now, someone screenshotted this fine young gentleman and posted it on her page and said, I've been threatened by this gentleman. I'm sorry, when did a punch become a threat? I don't understand what's going on in the conservative world whatsoever. We have images going around of a fine young gentleman and women. Looks like they were probably in a cemetery and just had to go. Literally just had to go. Now, we have found out that these images are AI. They don't violate our standards. I mean, what if you've ever had to take a piss in a graveyard and you accidentally pissed on someone's grave? Do you want to be violated by TikTok? No, that doesn't go against our standards. So what we need to do is we need to lock it down. Okay, what I want you to start doing is every time a conservative posts anything, if it just has the letter B in it, I want the comment struck. I want it violated. I want their account banned. Okay, we are not here to cater to conservatives. Is that clear? Okay, carry on. Good afternoon, TikTok staff. We are holding this meeting virtually. Since some of you.
Did you want me to send a photo to Flying Eagle, okay? Did you send one to him or you want me to? Four minutes. Our lion, JJ.
God, when will it be my turn?
Okay.
While watching others advance, while doors opened for everyone else, while your calling felt heavier each day, and slowly, the silence started to harden you. You prayed for change. You prayed for direction. You prayed for one sign that your life was not in vain. But hear me clearly. The fact that you survived proves God is not finished with you. Most people would have broken under what you carried. You smiled while hurting. You carried others while falling apart. You fought battles in your mind that nobody knew existed. And still, you are here, still standing. Do not ever forget that. Life hit you hard. People betrayed you. Doors closed. You questioned yourself. You questioned the silence. You wondered if your prayers were even being heard. But something in you refused to quit. That is purpose. So stop calling yourself weak because you cried. Warriors bleed too. The pain did not come to destroy you. It came to forge you. You thought you were being buried, but God was planting a warrior. And now you are rising. Stronger, sharper, harder. So rise up. Rise up when your mind says surrender. Rise up when fear says you will not recover. Rise up when your heart feels tired and under pressure. Your future is not waiting for the version that hides. It is waiting for the version that stands back up after every fall. So breathe. Your delay is not defeat. Your pain is not your identity. Your struggle is not your ending. Something is shifting. Your time is coming. And when the door finally opens, do not crawl through it. You kept asking.
Okay, line one. Okay, we got a Q video. He finally came out.
Things that somehow tick somebody off. YouTube office, and hey, it is what it is, but I'm back. And I had to come back. I probably should have taken a couple of more days just to be on the safe side, but I couldn't. I'm watching this Carmelo Anthony thing go down, and you guys saw the trial. They found Carmelo Anthony guilty, and everyone's seemingly losing their mind. So the world is somehow coming apart at the seams over a guilty verdict for a black man, or black young man, killing a white young man. It was politicized, and it's somehow, we're supposed to believe that a group of people in this country do not believe that taking a life is wrong. We're supposed to believe that there's a large group of people in this country who stand behind the murder of an innocent. Guys, this is all for show. There's a bunch of paid influencers that have been paid by the far left to push a narrative and hopefully incite violence, hopefully incite people on the other side to act out. And they've gotten a few to act out, but that is so ludicrous that the vast majority of Americans can see through it. This is absolutely insane. When is the last time you saw a murder trial get pushed this quickly? I mean, a week from beginning to end, we see a verdict. It just never happens that way. But it just so happened that this week we saw the Trump administration, through Tulsi Gabbard, putting out information, and Trump saying he wanted to shut down 120 biolabs in 30 different countries. This is something that the radical left, dare I say the elitist and the radical right, wanted to keep going on. They did not want people to hear that they have been working in several different countries, 30 different countries, and they were funding these biolabs. We were funding these biolabs, and no one was supposed to know about it. No one from the United States was over there checking on them. In fact, Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI, and even Trump, they didn't even know where these things were. Tulsi Gabbard has been looking for them and trying to find these in these black site locations. We have a government that is working against us. The Biden administration lied about these things, and we have radicals on both sides, if I might be. Racism. It's the racism, Q. Fair. But we're supposed to be concerned about, see that black people. No, I don't. I see some radicals, but the majority of Americans want the same thing. We want our children to be safe. We just want to be left alone. But for whatever reason, they see a need to divide us. And we're not going to fall for it. I'm not falling for it. I don't want you to fall for it, because this isn't a representation of all Americans. It's a representation of some sheep who are incapable of making up their own mind. And because a few influencers said some inflammatory things and some AI videos were put out that inflamed people, that they are carrying out random acts of violence, and they will be dealt with. But this isn't a representation of America. America is coming together. We're seeing through the baloney. We're winning, and they can't stand it. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys next time. Be blessed.
All right, that's gee, he must have been got a strike or something. Time out. JJ, I just got it on Telegram to you. You should have it on Telegram. Okay, we got George. Nine minutes.
That's when the slave vacuum decides to. What have I told you about interrupting me when I'm doing videos?
Go.
Oh my gosh. Oh, slaves, man. Kids these days. Wish I could just crack my whip. My goodness. Now lock this door. Worst timing ever. All right. I'm not quite back, but look at the new studio, you know. Look at the new setup, you know. Look, got a lot of work to do. Okay? Thinking of putting the American flag down. You know, maybe a little bookshelf to prove that I can read above a 5th grade level. I know, not common for blacks these days, but, you know, got a lot of work. But this is the setup that I have been building, working on since I came back from my trip to the East Coast, Florida, then Virginia. You know, here's my problem with you guys, you know? Here's my problem. This is a very important speech, so pay attention. You guys love assuming the worst when I'm not posting, you know? I was in Florida. I was handling some other things, you know, chocolate Superman business, of course. And everyone thought, man, loved watching him. But he's dead now. Rest in peace to him. You know? Thought I was dead. Oh, he was a good kid. Unlucky he got kidnapped, and I can't see him anymore. Kidnapped. You thought I got kidnapped. Look, I'm 6 foot, chocolate Superman bar of Snicker. I'm not getting kidnapped.
Well,
I'm getting adult
yeah,
napped,
I said
if anything.
0.
But you guys thought I got kidnapped. And that's why I didn't make videos. You always assume the worst. Never the truth. Never the reality of the situation. You never just stop and think, the reason he's gone is because he is a biological genius. And like all other biological geniuses of the world, he needs his time off to reconnect with his genius. Like, you never think of the reality there. I am a genius. Think about all the geniuses in history. Albert Einstein.
He's not really saying much, you guys. I want to save some time. So I'm going to go on to the next one. Okay, we got a couple Benny and a couple Trish videos. $19 minutes.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The second night in a row, protesters setting fire on the streets of Belfast, throwing rocks, bricks, and bottles at law enforcement. 12 officers were hurt and 16 people were arrested. Earlier in the day, police used water cannons to break up the large crowd. This wave of unrest comes after UK authorities charged a 30-year-old Sudanese migrant with attempted murder over a knife attack.
More than a knife attack. It was an attempted beheading. It was awful, it was gruesome, and the whole thing was caught on tape. So this 30-year-old from Sudan, who apparently came from, quote, an illustrious family, a well-connected family, had actually worked briefly as a police officer, apparently in Sudan, somehow gets a ticket over to Europe because of the war going on in Sudan. Sudan's a bad place, bad place. And for some reason, again, Europe's like, come on. Hey, what other godforsaken place with some people that maybe are never going to integrate the way we need them to integrate in Europe with us? Let's bring them all. Again, I mean, what a dumb idea. George Soros for the win here. I mean, I'm sorry. These are dumb, stupid ideas by stupid people that have basically no empathy and understanding of human nature and how everybody else is. I mean, gosh, it reminds me of the commies, for goodness sakes. Communists have no appreciation for basic human nature. Well, these guys, these global elites have zero nada. And that's what you're talking about with Keir Starmer. His government's going down as it should right now, as it should. When I look at what's going on in Belfast, a wonderful city. Long time shipping, their economy's been very challenged. And by the way, Southern Ireland has been just killing it. I mean, because what do? They lowered taxes. Yeah, so everybody wants to be in Southern Ireland. Everybody wants to be in the Republic of Ireland. Google, every big Meta, every big tech company wants to be there because they've created this super hospitable environment with very low taxes. But the UK's Northern Ireland has not followed suit. And they've been dumping all these migrants onto Northern Ireland. So the UK brings them in. Oh, they don't have room? Guess what? Just bring them over to the island, right? They'll be fine there. Well, the people in Northern Ireland are like, no, we don't want any more. We don't want any more. And they got migrants and they got a lot of people immigrating in from a lot of different places that are not assimilating. So apparently they have lists of where all these people are living in these asylum houses. By the way, they're getting lots of money from the UK government. The UK taxpayers paying through the wazoo for all of this. They can't pay their NATO bills, but they can pay for all these migrants to come there. Think about that for a second, okay, guys? So people are pretty darn unhappy, as you can imagine, in the city of Belfast. And this is not just the Protestants. This is not just the Catholics. This is the Catholics and the Protestants all together saying, what kind of government do we have that is allowing for these people to come in? And whether it's Henry Novak that happened over in the UK, whether it's this gentleman who's attacked right there in the city of Belfast, nearly decapitated. He's still in a coma, by the way. They're hoping he's going to make it. He's lost an eye. I mean, this is terrible stuff. And what is the response of Keir Starmer, who's on his last legs right now? What is this guy's response? I mean, what a jerk. What a what hole, okay? Bad dude to say something like this with no understanding and no empathy for how the people of Belfast feel about how out of control this has all become. Listen.
People are rightly sickened by the horrific attack on Monday night in North Belfast. But let me be clear, Mr. Speaker. The acts of violence and arson that followed are totally unjustified. This morning I spoke with the First Minister, the Deputy First Minister, and the Chief Constable. And the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland is meeting leaders in Belfast today. We are united in calling for calm and determined to restore order, support the police and all those on the front line, and ensure that justice is done.
Yeah, that's not
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Because you know what?
Oh my God!
13 minutes.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you what it does. First of all,
when you fail to protect people, you push them to the brink, and they have to take matters into their own hands. They don't have a choice, okay? They maybe don't want to do it this way. I guarantee you they don't. The Irish are wonderful people, by the way, incredibly welcoming, incredibly generous. If I do say so myself, you can guess by my last name what I am. But listen, they're wonderful, wonderful people. But at some point, you're destroying their lives and their culture, and you're taking their money to pay for this. That doesn't work, okay? You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand that. You just have to have a little humanity and common sense and a little empathy, okay? A little empathy would go off long, far away. Listen to this guy. Benny Johnson actually put this on Twitter. He just found the clip, and I want to share it with you because it's a very good it captures, I think, the emotion of how people feel right now. This is a guy in Northern Ireland who called into a radio show there or I guess it's actually a TV show. I don't know, because you see the video of it. And he calls in and he tells this guy exactly how he feels. And this is really, I think, a moment that captures, if you would, the sentiment of the people there. Let's see if I can pull this off and we can perhaps go to it here. There we go. Okay, let me play this. Tell me if you can hear it.
I am sick to death of being told that anybody who stands up and says that is far right. It is common sense and nothing more. I don't know how many people contacted this show in the first hour, but there was one voice note that stood out. And before Richard Tice, wherever you are, just pin back your logos. This was Rob.
Morning, Jez. On my way to work, as normal. Listening to you talk about the thing that happened in Belfast last night, all the unrest. Well, yes, rightly, you shouldn't condone what happened. What else have people got to do? They're not listening. The political class are not listening. These people who are coming over here illegally, they're rapists, terrorists. They're coming over here. It's literally like putting a wolf in a sheep field. You are giving them a target-rich environment. You haven't vetted them. You've done nothing. All you've done is dump them in a place where they can wreak havoc. Where they come from, guess what? There's no law. If they can do literally whatever they like. They come over here, there's lawyers, of course, taxpayers, get a nice cushy home, running water, Sky TV, gym memberships, bus passes. They can literally go where they want and create havoc. And when they do, the people that foisted them upon us, guess what? They say, don't get upset. Don't do anything. Don't go out and cause unrest. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. Stop reaping, then you might not have to sow it, because this country is absolutely on the edge. They cannot take much more of people getting stabbed, raped, blown up, you name it. You foisted it upon us for the last 25, 30 years, ever since Blair said, I'm going to rub your noses in it. Well, guess what? What goes round comes round. And I think the political class have got a very, very, very big smack on the nose coming.
6 minutes past 7, we'll stay over.
If you live in the United States, be prepared for this, as most Americans have no clue what's coming. And no, it's not another virus, another lockdown, or some political fight.
Yeah, they get a big smack coming.
Okay, we got 10 minutes.
I mean, did you hear that? There's many more where that came from. And by the way, that was the feeling of all of us here in the US of A. This is one of the reasons why Biden's no longer there. Kamala would have had a field day. She would have had many, many, many more migrants coming to this country at your expense. I mean, you know, there's an old saying, right? How many people can you fit in a canoe before the canoe sinks? Europe's sinking. We were nearly sinking. But we're smart, okay? And don't mess with us, just like I'll tell you, you don't mess with the Irish. I mean, there's a lot of countries over there that have rolled over and played dead. Germany, they're one. Sweden, I mean, they're starting to get a little backbone in Sweden right now because it's become untenable. This all started happening, by the way, in 2020, 2021, 2022. USAID, I mean, all kinds of money to keep bringing them in and bringing them in and bringing them in. The countries can't handle it. And he's right, all kinds of benefits. And by the way, for the record, when you go into the UK, you're not even allowed to work. Even if you wanted to work, they don't let you work. Okay? So you can't work, and they just keep giving you handouts and handouts and handouts and handouts. And what happens? It's the people's fault for rising up and saying enough is enough. They've had to put police on the streets. They've had to have the water cannons out there. And now the media says, well, that's because you get all these racist Irish people. How dare they? It's, quote, pure racism, according to this piece in the Financial Times, the FT, okay? That's like the Wall Street Journal for the UK. Pure racism. Belfast reels from riots led by masked young men. You know, if your government doesn't protect you, what do you think is going to happen, okay? What do you think? Them. Belfast minority groups living in fear after racist thuggery. That's actually a a piece by Reuters figures today in U.S. News and World Report. I mean, and this is the headlines over and over and over and over again. They're all racist. You know, these stupid Irish people, they're all a bunch of racists. How dare they? How dare they speak up? How dare they do it? But listen, guys, do they even have a choice? I want to point this out. You know, in the UK, they have very, very strict rules about what you can report. You guys were all teasing me last time I was there. You're like, Trish, be careful, be careful. They may come after you. And you know what? They could have, because they don't have the freedom of the press or the First Amendment the way we do. And so now they're looking at arresting Elon. Yeah, it's Elon's fault that everybody's protesting. Here's the article, actually, in NBC today. Elon Musk under fire for stoking anti-immigrant riots in Belfast. Somehow he's responsible now. A government minister is denouncing racist thuggery after a second night of unrest in the streets of Northern Ireland, with masked men torching and vehicles. It all came after that brutal stabbing that was caught on video. It was caught on video, and by the way, you know what? It's bad. It is really, I can't play it for you because we're in a live show and there's certain things that I have to tell YouTube ahead of time because YouTube wants to make sure that I warn you appropriately. So I actually can't play it. And yesterday I said, gosh, you don't want, probably do want to see it because it'll turn your stomach, but you need motivating people now, and why they're this upset. Elon Musk under fire for stoking anti-immigrant riots in Belfast. It's Elon's fault because, gosh darn it, he's got free press. He's got Twitter, and you can actually, well, X, see it all right there. And then you got, here's another one in Politico. They're slamming Elon Musk after Belfast riots. They're talking about now bringing in Ofcom, which is like their regulatory, it's like their FCC there over in the UK, and they're going to try and arrest him. And he's going to be in all this trouble because X is showing the actual, I guess, going ons, right? Like, it's so bad. It's so bad. I'm going to tell you this, that in the UK, and I think even in Ireland, actually, they've had these issues. You're not supposed to even report. Like, if somebody is from Sudan or somebody's a migrant, there was the stabbing of the little girl outside the nursery school in Dublin. And once again, the Irish took to the streets and they started burning things. And the press was being told you cannot report that this was a migrant. And they were trying to say, you know, mental health disorder, whatever. You weren't allowed to say these things. I see in the chat, one of you guys is like, it's DEI that is to blame. Yeah, sure, it's DEI. What else is it? I mean, it's a globalist sensibility that put a ton of money into one track, right? We're going to open borders. We're going to have this fair utopia. Well, you know what? I'm here to tell you the utopia doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. And you've got to actually work with human nature to the best of your ability to actually get the best out of people. That's exactly what capitalism does, okay? Communism does the opposite. Everybody sinks down to the lowest common denominator and people become really pretty darn awful. All right, so you need to protect against that. And you need to protect these people so they're not left trying to take things into their own hands. But you know what? This could be really good for Ireland overall. Because finally, everyone waking up to the reality that the British can't govern, that the British don't care, that the British are there pouring all their migrants into Northern Ireland, which are now seeping down into Southern Ireland as well, into Dublin. Dublin's a very, very new kind of city right now. And the people of Dublin have had it too. Look at this. I want to show you. Dubliners coming out, rallying in solidarity with the Northern Irish. And they're saying, send them home. Send them home is what they're chanting. And so this may be the best shot Ireland has ever had at reunification. I mean, if I'm a Protestant in Northern Ireland right now, I'm not too happy with my UK government now, am I? I look to the south and I see an economy that's thriving. Why? Low tax rates, low tax rates, low tax rates. And an educated population. Send them home, they say. So, why not?
3 minutes.
I mean, why not just get rid of Kieran? You guys can do that anyway. But why not just get rid of the whole kit and caboodle and say to heck with it? You know what? We're going to join with Mother Ireland. I mean, the UK won't want that, but you know, they're giving the Mauritius away. They're giving their islands, right? If I'm Northern Ireland, I want to reunite, and then you know what I want to do? I might take it a step further.
Here's how you can receive up to $35,000 a year
This
for
is your
caring
last
for a loved
commercial.
one. Do you help with things like bathing?
I might actually say not only are we going to reunite with our countrymen in the South, but maybe we ought to think about whether or not we even want to be part of this whole EU thing. Like, do we even want to have this joint relationship with the EU, given that our economy is fantastic? You know, in Ireland, they have one of the highest per capita incomes in the world. Yeah, it might be the highest, if not the second highest. It's way up there, okay? UK? Oh, UK. Andy was talking about this just the other day. Germany? France? Italy? They would all be the bottom of the barrel. Like bottom. If they came to the US and we made them, let's say, another state, a little statelet over there, they would have a poverty rate that would be the worst. They'd be lower than Mississippi. I think Mississippi is ranked the most challenged in terms of per capita income. They would be the worst. Okay, so Europe doesn't know what they're doing. Ireland does. So if I'm Northern Ireland, I kick the UK out of there faster than you can imagine. I reunite. Forget the orange and the green, for goodness sakes. You got bigger threats. You get the Sudan. Okay, you got way bigger threats, and you figure it out. And everybody has a seat at the table, and then you say, we're going to wipe ourselves clean of the good old EU because we have the numero uno economy. And people want to be here. And so you got to kind of protect yourself. You're an island, okay? You got to protect yourself because there's going to be a lot more where that came from, and they're going to keep trying to send boatloads of people there. But you're an island, you can protect yourself. And if you're even going to stay in the EU, even temporarily, see, I'm spouting off here with how I think the world ought to be. But if you're going to remain as part of the EU temporarily, then you go like Hungary did, right? Remember Viktor Orban? He said, you know what, we're not going to take all these people into our country. I mean, we may be part of the EU. It doesn't mean we need to open all our borders. And that's where you need to actually head. I mean, personally, what do I think? Ultimately, I actually think that the EU is going to prove to be a failed experiment. I think it's a really messed up thing with a whole bunch of freeloaders, and they can't seem to get the message that you can't freeload. So Donald Trump has to shake them and say, guys, enough is enough is enough. No more.
Yeah, I thought that was an important one from Trish there. Okay, we got another 2-minute cat lady. Yeah, Lucy, there's a lot of good ones we played at the beginning.
Guys, a lot of courageous people. So brave. I mean, when you walk up to two young men who's carrying a Bible and their bicycles broke down, and you know that they're Christians because they both got a Bible, and you call them all kind of horrible words, call them the N word, tell them you ought to kick them in their face, and you cussing them and screaming at them, get right in their business, and you're recording it the whole time. Brave. I mean, that's fucking brave, okay? And then when you walk up to what looked like to be a disabled vet sitting on the ground, and you slap the shit out of him and ask him, was he on the jury? Fucking brave. I mean, that takes a real man to do that. You know, and I've been seeing all these little clips, and I've noticed something in common. It's always like somebody who's disabled, or somebody that don't talk back or say anything back, like a reporter that you think, you know, can't really do anything. And I'm going, you know, what I don't see. Oh, and by the way, it takes a really brave person to urinate on a grave. The person's dead. Can't do nothing about it. I mean, that's brave. And even if it's AI, that's really courageous for you to post that. I mean, that takes a special person to even think that way. But I guess my thought is down here in the South, we're not really seeing a lot of that. You know, I'm just waiting for one of these videos to be made when they walk up to one of these southern redneck boys who's driving this big, giant, jacked up truck with the "We the People" symbol sticker all over the back of his truck and "Don't tread on me." I wonder what'll happen if you walk up to one of them kind of guys and go to calling him names or think you're going to slap the shit out of him. Just so brave, isn't it? So brave. You know, I've seen a lot of
Okay, that's another one there. I got another 2-minute one. We'll do a couple more short ones, and then we got Benny's video. This is an interesting one here. How's this one, guys? That was cool. That was pretty cool, I thought. I got one more short one, and then next two will be 2 10-minute videos. Did we just play this one? I don't know if we did or not. Yep. Hold on. Got the wrong one. Here's another one, you guys.
The judge investigating your inheritance has not only cracked the code of your origin story, but has uncovered a truth that shatters every lie you were ever told. This isn't just about money. It's about who you are, where you came from, and why you've been hunted since birth. At this very moment, your former handler, the one you once called parent, sits in a jail cell, their criminal empire crumbling around them. They built their world on the belief you'd remain small, confused and powerless, celebrating a victory that was premature. They never understood that chosen ones don't stay broken. We evolve. Their imprisonment is just the first domino in a chain reaction, exposing every individual involved in your abduction. The demonic assignment that haunted your bloodline for generations is being severed at its root. What they considered permanent bondage was merely temporary interference. The spiritual forces that shielded you through years of abuse are now orchestrating an intricate takedown. Every curse, every obstacle, every false identity forced upon you is unraveling now that you've fully stepped into your power. They never prepared for your awakening, and that lack of foresight is about to cost them everything. This revelation isn't about one corrupt individual or a single criminal family. What's being exposed is a network so vast and deeply connected that once you see the whole picture, you'll understand why they worked so hard to keep you unconscious. Your handler was just one tentacle of a monstrous octopus, a web that included trafficking rings, religious cults, medical conspirators, legal professionals, and government officials. All of them worked together, stealing children and harvesting their life force. You weren't merely adopted, you were purchased. You weren't simply relocated, you were trafficked. And the inheritance they fought over isn't just material wealth. It's the bloodline fortune of the family they destroyed to get to you. The real judge, uncorrupted by their influence, has been quietly building a case spanning multiple jurisdictions and decades of criminal activity. Chosen one, the game is over. The judge...
Okay, I had some new ones there I don't normally play. Those were ones that sort of towards the movie. I was like the ending of the movie, so thought I was playing those three there. So now we'll get the next two mini videos. $10 minutes.
To burn this video more than it already has. The political systems in LA were not ready for Spencer Pratt, and it turns out he ain't going nowhere. Now, some people might call this a concession video, but actually it's a declaration of war. Spencer Pratt saving LA Phase 3 has broken the internet. It's just been up for a few minutes, and it already has done 1.1 million views, 10,000 reposts, and 43,000 likes. It's Spencer Pratt declaring that not only is he going to not leave the race or not leave politics, but he's also, after they stole it from him, he's also got criminal material on the lead candidates in the race that are going to cause them to drop out and resign in disgrace. And this is a political bombshell here, ladies and gentlemen. Spencer Pratt's new banger. Let's go.
You got to hear about this thing. There's this new pair of glasses out there. Automatic 20/20 vision device for your eyes. I mean, this thing is nuts. It literally automatically adjusts perfect 20/20 vision at any distance instantly.
Now that the campaign portion of Save Los Angeles is coming to a close, and I'm moving on to the next, more interesting phase. Listen, I've spent a lot of time slaying everybody. I've ridiculed everyone on the roster, and I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take the chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. You can get rid of me that easily? I know a lot of dim-witted jerks thought I was in this for a grift, that I was going to roll up and leave town if I didn't get into City Hall. It's just not fair. Hey, morons, I didn't get in this for political power. I got in this to expose this corrupt machine, and nothing has changed. You enjoy your worthless meetings in City Hall.
Nikki, you have all this information. You're running for mayor. Show what you're really about, or get the fuck out of the race.
I'm going to be lighting you up every single day, and now I don't have to worry about offending CNN viewers. I don't have a campaign laws hamstringing me now. It's war. It's 0 hour for Los Angeles. Angelinos are now stuck with two morons responsible for all their problems, and they have to choose between dumb and dumber. That's not a choice. That's the machine protecting the machine. And now every problem that plagues Los Angeles because of these two corrupt communists is going to accelerate, and the city will tumble headlong into the abyss. You have no idea how many major developers, hoteliers, business owners, entrepreneurs have been texting me saying they're packing up and leaving town. More of your favorite restaurants will be shuttering. That means less tax revenue. That means the city has to cut services, more potholes, less firefighters, less police patrols, more criminals, more drug terrorizing your communities. And we haven't ended it. You have no idea how bad things are about to get for this city. Look at this place already. Weeds growing from every crack and crevice, graffiti over every square inch of hasn't changed. I've been laser stopping these commie animals, and I will stop them. If you think we uncovered a lot of We have some recordings of one of your exalted candidates doing and saying something that would make her resign in shame. I was saving it for the general election. Go ahead and pick your demon, certify your choice, and then you get to see it. So Karen Nithya, ask yourself, is it possible that one of your employees may have a recording of you doing or saying something that would force you to resign in disgrace? Hope you sleep well at night over the next 5 months, because you know who hasn't slept well at all for the last 17 months? Mom. All my neighbors in the Palisades, all the moms who worry about their kids walking past drug addicts in front of their schools, all the business owners getting crushed in the LA economy, worried that they can't stay in business and feed their kids. Angelinos have been struggling for years now, all while corrupt politicians and fraudulent NGOs profit off the misery and fleece us for the tax dollars. Well, now we're flipping the script. I want all you awake at night sweating and worried about 5 a.m. when the FBI blazers bust in the door, breaking open your office, because I assure you, they're coming. You think your election was going to stop me? If you want to stop me,
You're gonna have to fucking kill me!
Just go ahead and check. Just go ahead and check the, again, it's just a masterclass in communication. Spencer Pratt is so good at this. It reminds me of someone. Donald Trump. It just does. He has similar background, similar grievances, similar capacity to connect. That's how you concede. I would die and kill for you. The hero we need. Oh boy, now we're talking. Let's go. OMG. Whoa. This is it. Nithya must resign. I love this guy. Hell yeah. Yeah. People are loving it. So Karen, Nithya, ask yourself, is it possible that one of your employees may have a recording of you doing or saying something that would force you to resign in disgrace? And this is the part that I'm the most interested in, because he's cooking. People posting the old Breitbart clip with the exact same energy. This means war. Watching this, I want to run through a wall for this guy. Are these two men going to save California? Well, I'm not sure. I can tell you this, that Steve Hilton has been doing a lot of TV and a lot of interviews talking about how he's going to run with Spencer Pratt. Now, what does that look like? I'm not sure. Steve Hilton, who has made his governor's race, and he has been confirmed as the winner or advancing to the runoff, Steve Hilton has said multiple times on the record this week, I'm going to run with Spencer Pratt. What does that look like? Is he going to be a lieutenant governor? Is he going to be the warlord of Los Angeles? This would be an unbelievable thing, because the city of Los Angeles can't function without the state doling out enormous amounts of money to it. It is a welfare baby of the state. Really, really interesting timeline here. Steve Hilton, again, has been rolling. Also, Spencer Pratt hyping a massive victory for the people of Los Angeles and for the people who know exactly how elections are stolen in LA. There are no coincidences. God bless Secretary Turner. This is the secretary in charge of housing and urban development. So the HUD secretary announcing that he's ending the fraud-filled homeless funding for LA, something we've been calling on for literally the better part of the last 6 months. We released an entire documentary on this, but he's talking about how they are effectively using federal dollars from HUD in order to rig elections by paying for infinity homeless people to live in Los Angeles. So another massive W for Spencer Pratt. Ladies and gentlemen, what would you like to see Spencer do next? Obviously, the guy is totally and completely beloved and has more talent than so many other people. Are they done counting yet? Spencer posted this morning. Are they done counting yet? Ladies and gentlemen, we're counting on Steve Hilton bringing in Spencer Pratt to his campaign. This is Steve saying it on the record that he plans on doing that earlier this week. Let's go.
Have you talked to him?
I have not. I mean, not since then. We've been very busy with our own campaigns.
Yeah, absolutely.
And doing our own thing in very different races. But as I said this morning, I think that he got a lot of attention with his brilliant campaigning, social media dominance. That was great. But actually he had some really substantive plans as well, particularly on homelessness that I fully support. They're very well thought through. and I would be very happy for him. Whatever I can do to help make that happen, including working with him or not. It's up. I'm not going to, rush it. But I do think that he had some really important things to say.
So do you, in other words, would you bring him into your administration?
Oh, of course, for like a shot, my door would be open. But as I say, I don't want to. He's probably reflecting on what happened right now. I can imagine.
Well, I don't. As far as I know, I don't think we've heard from him just yet. He hasn't come out publicly. So look.
Okay, I got a short one I want to play real quick before we get to the second one. Two minutes.
An aircraft that can launch from bases in Guam or Japan, accelerate to supersonic cruise, penetrate contested airspace, execute a mission, and return without tanker support dramatically alters the strategic equation. Speed amplifies that advantage. A missile launched from an aircraft already traveling at Mach 2 inherits that kinetic energy. Its effective range extends. Its time to target shrinks. Enemy pilots have less reaction time. Defensive systems must calculate intercept solutions against a faster, less predictable threat. And if something goes wrong, speed becomes survival. The ability to disengage rapidly, to outrun certain threats, or at least complicate interception envelopes, introduces a defensive dimension rarely discussed publicly. In modern air combat, energy equals options. The faster platform dictates engagement terms. Yet the F-47 doesn't operate alone. Perhaps the most transformative aspect of sixth-generation doctrine is the integration of collaborative combat aircraft, often referred to as loyal wingmen, because speed alone wins engagements, but speed plus numbers wins wars. These AI-enabled drones accompany the manned fighter into contested airspace, expanding its sensor reach and combat potential. Imagine one F-47 orchestrating 4 or 5 autonomous aircraft. They spread out, forming a distributed sensor web covering vast airspace. They detect radar emissions, identify missile launches, and feed targeting data back to the manned cockpit. Some carry additional weapons. Others specialize in electronic warfare, jamming enemy radars or acting as decoys. If a hostile missile is launched, a drone can maneuver to intercept or absorb the threat, preserving the manned aircraft. Risk calculus changes entirely. Instead of relying solely on small formations of human-piloted jets, commanders deploy modular networks centered around a high-performance core platform. Speed enhances this system. A fast-moving F-47 range interceptors are designed to keep adversaries at a distance. An aircraft that can launch from bases in Guam or Japan, accelerate to supersonic cruise, penetrate contested airspace, execute a mission, and return without tanker support dramatically alters the strategic equation. Speed amplifies that advantage. A missile launched from an aircraft already traveling at Mach 2 inherits that kinetic energy. Its effective range extends. Its time to target shrinks. Enemy pilots have less reaction time. Defensive systems must calculate intercept solutions against a faster, less predictable threat. And if something goes wrong, speed becomes survival. The ability to disengage rapidly, to outrun certain threats, or at least complicate interception envelopes, introduces a defensive dimension rarely discussed publicly. In modern air combat, energy equals options. The faster platform dictates engagement terms. Yet the F-47 doesn't operate alone. Perhaps the most transformative aspect of sixth-generation doctrine is the integration of collaborative combat aircraft, often referred to as loyal wingmen, because speed alone wins engagements, but speed plus numbers wins wars. These AI-enabled drones accompany the manned fighter into contested airspace, expanding its sensor reach and combat potential. Imagine one F-47 orchestrating 4 or 5 autonomous aircraft. They spread out, forming a distributed sensor web covering vast airspace. They detect radar emissions, identify missile launches, and feed targeting data back to the manned cockpit. Some carry additional weapons. Others specialize in electronic warfare, jamming enemy radars or acting as decoys. If a hostile missile is launched, a drone can maneuver to intercept or absorb the threat, preserving the manned aircraft. Risk calculus changes entirely. Instead of relying solely on small formations of human-piloted jets, commanders deploy modular networks centered around a high-performance core platform. Speed enhances this system. A fast-moving F-47 range interceptors are designed.
I thought that was an important one to share there. Okay, we got. You guys see this photo there? Okay, another 9-minute one on Vinny here. Yeah. Say hi to Bella, your new cousin. He's hot. The humidity is really sticky right now.
Car insurance rates. We've been called some pretty nasty names over the last couple of days because we were stating the obvious empirical truth that there are cultures that are incompatible. Try making Mecca Christian, right? Try putting a giant synagogue on the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the middle of Jerusalem. It's going to get bloody fast if you try and supplant the historic cultures of a place. Every single time this happens in history, the Crusades, the invasion of the Moors into Europe, it always ends in warfare and bloodshed. And as they try and Islamize the West, it's not going great. You can see this in Belfast, Northern Ireland. You can see that in the streets of America. You can see it all over Europe. And it wouldn't go well if Christians were trying to take over Islamic countries. Obviously, there'd be major resistance, and there has been. And so these are just like stating the facts, right? There are some cultures that are totally and completely incompatible. And it is sort of on that base plane that we need to start looking at our immigration system and our deportation systems here in our country and saying, hey, like, do we want infinity third world migrants, or what about the people that are already here? And that's a question of policy. But there are people that are, I think, probably on the other side, where I am politically, that are making the same argument, but with a different determination. Get a load of this. Because my argument is based on the fact that white people have nowhere else to go, right? Like, white people are natives of Europe and the European continent in general. And the Western world was founded and developed and tamed by white people in general, European stock and descent and Christian stock and descent. That's just empirically true. And so, like, where do I go? I don't have another passport. My family came over from like Germany and England a very long time ago, hundreds of years ago. I don't share that kinship or anything. I wouldn't go anywhere. There's a popular black podcaster, Larry Reed, who is calling for a mass exodus of black people back to Africa right now in response to the Carmelo Anthony verdict. Well, let's listen to him. I want to begin by I want you to begin to think about this America as the white people problem that we have as a collective. Let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build. Civil rights didn't make white people that are infected with whiteness stop being racist. So this is the commentary from the other side. I'm going to step way back and say that what I'm talking about obviously is brand new migrants to this land, meaning I think that Somalia, Sudanese culture, I think that a lot of Islamic culture is incompatible with the West. I've made that argument. I have no idea if this guy is a practitioner of Islam. I have no clue. I don't know this guy. But you can see here, this is him posting. He's got some followers, right? It's got 10,000 followers. More people are making the exodus to Africa than ever in history. You got to do the same. Make the exodus mentally, financially, psychologically, and if you can't, even physically out of America. The exodus is not a land migration of consciousness, comprehensive shift. Well, he is actually arguing to migrate across the land. So it looks like he's posting a graphic where everybody is leaving the Caribbean and countries and going to Africa. A movement, a choice of freedom. All right. So it says global opportunities, financial freedom, passport to Africa. Looks like the build African skyscrapers kind of thing. All right. This is not what Africa looks like. But go for it, dude. Like, I'm telling you, go for it. This has been my regular criticism of people from Somalia. Like, wait a second. Why haven't you made Mogadishu great again? Why is Somalia the highest coefficient of cousin marriages and child brides and genital mutilation and sectarian ethnic violence? Why does all that occur in Somalia, Sudan, and so on? Like, why would we ever bring someone over from that culture if that's what their culture is? Aren't we bringing that into our culture? And the answer is, of course, yes. But if you try and send a Somali back, they'll scream and they'll fight you in court and everyone will yell that you're a racist. But when they're here, all they do is talk about Somalia and how much they love it. So aren't you doing a favor? I don't know. Does it apply here? Let's go ahead and look. I mean, this has done 3 million, 5,000 reposts, 16,000 likes. Podcaster Larry Reed calls for a mass exodus of Black Americans back to Africa. There he is. It's going and says, let's go back to Africa. Send us the GoFundMe for this, please. I love this idea. We give free flights, paid illegals to leave. We should do the same for any American who wants to leave. Only condition is you must give up your U.S. citizenship and never return. I mean, hey, bye. Anybody stupid enough to want to leave this country is free to leave at any time. Good luck. Do it, please. Will there be measures in place to make sure that you stay gone? Rome 2,000 years ago, Africa an hour ago. Can't make this up. Podcaster. Remigration time. Yo, can we be getting away with killing Whitey? Let's go back to Africa. Your terms are acceptable. As someone who has spent 3 decades representing asylum seekers from Africa, I'd say this isn't sound advice. Well, okay. Don't ruin the party here, man. Nobody wants to move to Africa. Even the Africans are moving out as fast as they can. If you think Africa is devoid of bigotry, you are for a rude awakening. Africans literally match ethnic groups all the time and have for all time. That's actually what slavery was. Look too far into it, but that's what it was. That white people weren't charging into Africa, capturing anyone. Slaves were being sold on the beaches by other Africans in cages. That's a matter of historic fact. Black people make up approximately 12% of Americans. This is non-Hispanic blacks. Approximately 10 to 12%. And boy, howdy, did they want to get out. I mean, they're pissing on Austin Metcalf's grave. So if you want to talk about incompatibility of culture, well, here it is. If you can't respect the fact that this young man died because a young black man stabbed him in the heart and killed him, this innocent man, and he was found guilty, and now he's serving prison time. He's suffering a single consequence. Maybe the first consequence he's ever suffered in his life. You're going to piss on his grave? Okay. What would happen if all blacks left?
I'd ask, how? First, there are 47 million African...
This is a YouTube, by the way, a YouTube channel that does sort of these...
Americans, about 14% of the total U.S. population. Their sudden disappearance would affect daily life. For example, 75% of basketball players and 70% of football players are African American. If they were gone, these sports would be very different. Also, about 20% of nurses and aides, over 85% African American too. There are about 3 million black-owned businesses, which would disappear and cause 2 million people to lose their jobs. These businesses make over $150 billion every year for the U.S. economy. Overall, African Americans contribute about 5% of the U.S. gross domestic product. Some states and cities would lose a lot of people. Mississippi would lose 37% of its population. Cities like Detroit, Michigan, and Jackson, Mississippi would be almost empty, with 80% and 77% of their people gone.
So, wait a second, 14% of the population, but 5% of the GDP.
2 minutes, less than 2 minutes.
I'm not the one saying it, dude. This is the guy saying it. I'll give you here's his little clip right here. You can argue with him, all right? I'm talking about brand new migrants to the United States of America. But If anybody wants to self-deport that hates this nation, I'm here for it. Send me the GoFundMe. Here you go. Here's a little snippet.
Unless you must stay in America, unless you are supposed to be in the USA. Otherwise, if you're Black, integration has had great benefits. I'm telling you, and I'm saying this as a collective, let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build. I repeat, integration has had great benefits, my people. For some of us, let's drain this place of its benefits and make our mass exodus and go home and build.
Hey, another video there. Okay, I got one here. I wasn't sure of you guys. 9 minutes. 9-minute one.
Of the bankers. We got to get back to being a nation. What does that even mean? What does that look like?
You guys
If we've
remember
been
this one?
a captured entity with the District of Columbia, one of the 3 power centers around the world, like the City of London and the Vatican City, how do we get our republic back? How do we reconstitute the republic and not have 330 million people fight each other and scream like crazy because their religion says, or their pastor says, or their feelings say this, or I don't like the way you're doing that, or Orange Man bad, or I don't like digital money, or I hate Ripple, or we're going to argue until the cows come home while we're trying to reconstitute our republic and stop being a part of a corporation. One of the things that I think is the coolest thing in the world is that our Declaration of Independence recognized individual property rights, which means I can own a house, I can own a car, I can create wealth, I can pass my property on to my kids and grandkids. And that's very unique in the world. 209 countries or however many there are, a lot of countries don't recognize individual property rights. They just don't offer it. But now we're putting together a system where there's going to be wallets. Individual wallets, point to point, person to person in 3 seconds, no central authority, no middleman, no permission slip. I can send anything of value to anybody on this planet from my wallet to theirs in 3 seconds. Well, that's going to force, it's a forcing mechanism. That's going to require laws around individual property right ownership.
All right, guys?
For 8 billion people around the world. How does that change China? How does that change Zimbabwe? How does that change Argentina? How does that change America? How does that change all of us? When we don't have any central authority middleman in there that can inflate the trust system, debase the trust system, steal from us, take 6 days to make the transfer happen, lose 5 or 10% of the transactions, charge us usury. Just because I want to transfer property from point A to point B to somebody, now all of a sudden, we're fractionalizing and decentralizing the Bank of International Settlements and the Federal Reserve and all of these banksters. If we go back to I'll land the plane here. If we go back and think about what is the root of all evil, what is the driving for who benefits from us being sick and ignorant and lazy and angry and indulgent on every other kind of stupid vice in the world? Who benefits from us not being healthy and independent and awake and standing our own authority and agency? It's those that want us that position so they can better deceive us. The three groups of people that assassinated Jesus Christ. The bankers or the money
I
changers.
might have played this, but I don't know how many
The
might
church
have missed
people
it. So
that
I
were
hope this is
housing the
okay to
money
replay
changers
again.
and the politicians that were bought by the money changers. The money changers, the religious people, and the politicians. And we look at today and we look around us, where are the problems coming from? The central bankers, the George Soroses, the people that can make money out of thin air with no accountability and no transparency. They can buy any scumbag like an Adam Schiff and throw him into Congress, or pick your favorite politician that you hate. The money changers pervert the trust system, which is what money's supposed to be. They buy all
Okay,
their
I will.
buddies, they put them in positions of power, and because we're ignorant, we just go along to get along, or we fight with each other because that's just what we do, because we don't really know what else to do. We've been trained to blame somebody else. White versus black, gay versus straight, Christian versus Muslim, rich versus poor, old versus young. It doesn't matter. We're trained and pitted against each other by the people that pervert the money system. And then we all think, oh my God, more money, more happiness, less money, less happiness. And they keep us in this frenzied state of emotional chaos. So for somebody that's trying to decentralize and bankrupt and make the central bankers insolvent and stop making the money system and end the Federal Reserve and put that control back in the hands of the government, we the people, we're supposed to have a treasury, not a Federal Reserve. A Federal Reserve is a foreign occupying force headquartered in the city of London. It has nothing to do with the Constitution of the United States of America or our Treasury Department or our Bill of Rights. So step one, if your house is flooding with sewage, stop the sewage from flowing into your house. Stop
About 3
the
minutes,
chaos
guys.
before
3
you
minutes.
can't rebuild a house. You can't unify the people. You can't build trust. You can't level the playing field. You can't have a set of core unifying principles if the sewage is still coming into the house. You got to stop the sewage first. And what is that? That's the foreign ownership, the foreign corruption, the foreign fake money, which is not even money, it's debt. Look at your dollar bill. It says Federal Reserve note. It's not a US dollar, it's a Federal Reserve note. That is an IOU. That is a debt instrument to the issuing entity known as a Federal Reserve. They use the name dollar because it sounds good, and that's what we've read in our textbooks, and we're supposed to have dollars. Our money is a debt instrument. That's how we're in debt slavery, because we're indebted to the issuer of the debt paper, which is the Federal Reserve, which is not even a part of the United States of America. If we don't get our house in order, we're never going to even start back to square one, which was the Declaration of Independence that said we have these unalienable rights issued to us by God, and we don't need a permission slip from a politician for shit. So in many respects, I'm extraordinarily excited about the changes and the transformation that are taking place. But we've been asleep for 100 years. We've been asleep since 1871. Or go back to The Creature from Jekyll Island, which G. Edward Griffin wrote about. This occupying force that took over our country in 1913 has been here. That was 111 years ago. We've been captive for 111 years by a foreign occupying banking force. And we thought we had a country, and we haven't been a country. We have been an owned entity by foreigners for a very, very long time, and we're coming out of it.
Oh, Okay, sorry about that. Some people might have missed that. Okay, we got let's check out the raid. You got 15.
Looks like right now we cannot get to that. But we first told you about this breaking news on wavy.com. We have live team coverage on this situation. 10 on your side's Andy Fox is on the scene at Luke's.
At 11 a.m., inside the Regional Licensing Compliance Office of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a junior compliance analyst named Mara Halston was completing an overnight audit pass on federal firearms licensee inventory reports when she noticed a small numerical discrepancy in one of them that did not behave the way the system was designed to behave. The report belonged to a federally licensed firearms dealer operating out of a small storefront in suburban St. Paul. The dealer's annual inventory reconciliation showed 184 firearms acquired during the previous fiscal year and 181 firearms disposed of through documented sales. Federal records required a closing inventory match against the prior year's opening inventory, plus all acquisitions, minus all dispositions. The math was off by 3 weapons. That was not unusual in itself. Small discrepancies happened. Mara was trained to flag them, but not to escalate them automatically. She pulled the dealer's previous 5 years of inventory reconciliation reports. Each year showed a small discrepancy. 2 firearms 1 year, 5 another, 4 the next. Each discrepancy was below the threshold that would trigger automatic federal review. Each had been quietly closed by the supervising regional inspector through a routine administrative reconciliation note. The dealer's cumulative 6-year discrepancy was 23 weapons unaccounted for. Mara had been at the office for 2 years. The dealer in question was not unusual in her queue. She pulled the inventory reports for the next 4 dealers in her audit batch. 3 of the 4 showed the same pattern. Small annual discrepancies, each one closed by the same regional inspector, each one falling just below the federal automatic review threshold. She kept pulling. By 5:34 a.m., Mara had identified 28 federally licensed dealers across the regional inspector's territory whose inventory reports followed the same pattern. 28 dealers, cumulative unaccounted firearms across all 28 over the same 6-year window, approximately 1,200 weapons. She filed an internal escalation report and copied the ATF Office of Inspector General's Compliance Integrity Unit. By 11 a.m., the report had been forwarded to the FBI's Minneapolis field office. By 4 p.m., federal investigators were quietly pulling 6 years of firearms licensee inventory data across the entire ATF regional office, expanding the search to include licensees across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. What Mara Halston had found in the middle of a routine overnight audit was the visible edge of a black market firearms pipeline that had been operating beneath federal compliance oversight for nearly 6 years. At 8:42 a.m. the following morning, FBI forensic analysts began running a structural analysis of every federally licensed firearms dealer reporting through the ATF regional office covering Minnesota, Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. The licensee count was significant. Approximately 1,940 active federal firearms licenses across the 3-state territory. Within that population, analysts identified 174 federally licensed dealers that fit the inventory discrepancy pattern Mara had flagged. Small annual unaccounted for inventories, each closed administratively, each falling beneath the federal automatic review threshold. But the pattern extended further than the inventory discrepancies. When analysts cross-referenced the 174 flagged licensees against active DEA and ATF intelligence on firearms trafficking networks operating across the upper Midwest, a second pattern emerged. 128 of the 174 dealers had appeared, by address or by associated phone number, in active firearms trafficking investigations involving weapons recovered at crime scenes across Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Chicago, and surrounding metropolitan areas. The weapons recovered at those crime scenes had originated, on paper, from inventories that those same dealers had reported as legally sold or as part of small annual discrepancies that the regional inspector had quietly reconciled away. Across the 6-year window, analysts estimated that approximately 12,800 firearms had passed through the 174 dealer network into channels that could not be accounted for through legal sale documentation. The combined wholesale and street value estimate of those weapons, integrated into the regional black market firearms economy, was approximately $1.5 billion. Analysts pulled the inspection authorization records for the 174 flagged licensees. Every one of the regional inspections that had closed the inventory discrepancies carried the same internal authorization designation inside the ATF Compliance Management System, REG-INSP-04. That code was not a field inspector authorization. It was not a regional supervisor authorization. REG-INSP-04 was a senior regional compliance inspector designation, a code reserved for the highest-ranking field compliance authority across the 3-state region. The senior regional compliance inspector was a man named Edward Kessler, 21-year ATF veteran, former field special agent, promoted to senior regional compliance inspector 7 years earlier. 2 commendations from ATF Central Headquarters for licensee compliance program development. His authorization code appeared on every one of the inventory reconciliation closings tied to the 174 flagged dealers. But analysts had only searched 6 years back. The pattern began roughly 4 months after Kessler's promotion to the senior regional role. If you believe corruption like this should be brought into the light, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and comment exposed below. Investigators began tracing the payment chain that had compensated Edward Kessler for the inventory reconciliations. Financial crime analysts traced the funds outward. The shell companies layered their receipts through secondary accounts in Minneapolis, Milwaukee, and Chicago. The consolidated funds were then routed to private banking institutions in the Cayman Islands and Liechtenstein. From the offshore consolidation accounts, the money moved back into the United States through layered corporate purchases of residential and commercial real estate, a small marina business on Lake Minnetonka, and the personal investment accounts of a handful of individuals connected to Kessler's inner circle. Kessler's personal financial footprint matched what the layered structure was designed to deliver. A 6,200 square foot lakefront home in Wayzata, Minnesota, purchased 4 years earlier for $3.4 million through a corporate trust. A vacation in northern Wisconsin. A 42-foot motor yacht docked at the Lake Minnetonka Marina. 5 vehicles registered across multiple states and entities. International travel records showing 17 trips in 5 years, including 8 to the Cayman Islands and 4 to Liechtenstein. None of this appeared on his federal financial disclosure forms, but the layered structure was sophisticated. Far too sophisticated for a regional compliance inspector, even a 21-year veteran, to have designed on his own. Someone else had built the financial architecture. At 2:08 p.m., FBI cyber analysts traced the encrypted communications channel that had coordinated the inventory reconciliations with the 174 dealer network. The channel had been routed through a private server registered to a regulatory consulting firm called Northern Compliance Advisors, LLC, operating out of a commercial office in Edina, Minnesota. Northern Compliance Advisors did not appear in any federal contractor database. It had no GSA registration, no active government contracts, no public web presence, but it had filed corporate paperwork in Delaware 7 years earlier.
Thanks, Devin.
The registered agent on the filing was a name that returned a result inside federal employment records within minutes. Margaret Aldrich, 60 years old, former Deputy Assistant Director for Industry Operations at the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Before that, 14 years as a Senior Policy Analyst at the Department of Justice Office of Legal Policy on Federal Firearms Regulation. Before that, 9 years as an ATF Field Special Agent in the Upper Midwest. She had served on the internal ATF review committees that established the automatic federal review thresholds for licensee inventory discrepancies. She had retired from federal service 8 years earlier. Within 10 months of her retirement, the first of the 19 shell companies had been registered in Delaware. Inside the encrypted communications archive that investigators had begun extracting from the Edina office network, Aldrich's designation appeared throughout the operational record. Her code name in the archive was The Inspector, At 4:52 p.m., a federal judge in the District of Minnesota signed simultaneous search and arrest warrants for 13 locations across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. At 5:21 p.m., the order went out. Execute. Location 1, a TF Regional Compliance Office, Minneapolis. Agents entered through the administrative wing under federal warrant. The facility's federal security cooperated. Kessler was in the building, in his senior inspector's office, attending what was scheduled to be a routine afternoon administrative review. He was detained without resistance. Inside his office, agents recovered 2 desktop computers, an external hard drive concealed inside a hollowed-out federal firearms regulation manual on his bookshelf, and a locked credenza containing printed inspection summary marked with handwritten reference codes. Approximately $108,000 in cash was found in a separate desk drawer. Location 2, Edward Kessler's residence, Wayzata, Minnesota. Kessler's wife was present at the residence. Inside the home, agents recovered 4 burner phones, a home office laptop with an encrypted messaging session, and a wall safe in the primary bedroom containing approximately $440,000 in cash, 8 gold bars, and offshore banking documentation tied to accounts in the Cayman Islands and Liechtenstein. Location 3, Northern Compliance Advisor's Office, Edina, Minnesota. Margaret Aldrich was inside the office at the time of the raid. A document shredder was operating. Inside a back office, behind a built-in cabinet, agents found a black rack-mounted server, running, active, and transmitting. Cyber analysts began extraction immediately. Aldrich did not resist arrest. Location 4, North Star Firearms Compliance Records Facility, Bloomington, Minnesota. DEA agents led entry. The facility, on paper, served as the records center for the largest of the shell company compliance consulting contractors. In practice, the facility was operating as a coordination point for the trafficking networks moving the diverted firearms across the upper Midwest. Inside the facility, agents found a hidden interior section behind a false wall. The section contained approximately $4.2 million in undeclared U.S. currency, 2 pallets of wholesale quantity prescription opioids and synthetic stimulant medications, operational records linking the facility to firearms trafficking networks across 3 states, and a parallel ledger documenting cooperation between the Firearms Diversion Network and regional narcotics distribution operations. The presence of significant pharmaceutical inventory inside the facility had triggered the DEA's involvement during the investigation phase. The firearms pipeline and the narcotics pipeline were not separate operations. They were running through the same coordination infrastructure, the same shell companies, the same offshore consolidation accounts, the same architectural design. Location 5, Margaret Aldrich's residence, Lake Minnetonka, Minnesota. Aldrich was already in custody at her office. Inside the residence, agents found a home office server concealed inside a built-in cabinet in a private library, backup drives spanning the full 7 years of the operation, a wall safe containing approximately $580,000 in cash and personal financial records of the offshore. The stockyard file contained the complete operational architecture of the pipeline, a 6-year schedule of every diverted firearm tracked by serial number, make, and model, the corresponding bribe payment record for every licensee in the network, a corporate ownership map of all 19 shell companies, the U.S. real estate beneficial ownership chart, the offshore consolidation account chart, the cooperation map with the regional narcotics distribution networks, and a detailed accounting of Aldrich's personal share of the operation's net proceeds over the 7 years. The Cayman Islands and Liechtenstein consolidation accounts remained under formal recovery proceedings. The 19 shell companies were placed under federal asset seizure. The Lake Minnetonka Marina was placed into receivership. The Bloomington Records facility was permanently shuttered, and all on-site materials transferred into federal custody. The federal firearms licenses of all 174 flagged dealers were suspended pending criminal review. The ATF Regional Compliance Office was placed under direct federal monitoring. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives announced an immediate operational audit of regional compliance inspection authorities, inventory reconciliation thresholds, and supervisory override pathways across all federal firearms licensing districts. The detail that stayed with investigators after the arrests was not the scale of the money. It was the destination of the weapons. The 12,800 firearms that had moved through the diversion network had not stayed inside a paper economy. They had reached streets, homes, neighborhoods, and crime scenes across the upper Midwest. Investigators traced firearms originally documented as legally sold or quietly reconciled away from licensee inventories to at least 1,640 documented violent offenses across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois during the 6-year window of the operation. Homicides, armed robberies, aggravated assaults, drive-by shootings. Each one of those crimes had involved a weapon that, on paper, the federal firearms regulatory system had been designed to keep track of.
Okay, I believe that's all of it. Okay, we did a video with the raid video there. All right, we got a new gun video. 12 minutes.
Do to conspiracy theorists who are lying to you and getting you to feel like the whole universe is falling apart. If you're running around all angry and terrified that the universe is falling apart, it might be because you're listening to the wrong people. First, we're going to get to Tucker Carlson making a claim, and then we're going to go to the guy, Dan Bongino, who he actually makes the claim against. This is Mario Narfal. This is a guy platforming Tucker, which I'm fine with. But Mario, back when they exposed where all the accounts were coming from, his is planted in another country. I've long had the suspicion that he is paid for by, let's just say, foreign anti-Jew money and Mario Narfal. And I think he does great news. I'm fine with it. Put your content out. I'll show it on my show. This is his claim now. He says a terrified Dan Bongino told Tucker Carlson that Trump shut down the Butler investigation himself. Trump shut down the investigation into Butler, the guy that shot him in the ear. Tucker says he accidentally obtained, I'm sorry, Butler isn't the name of the guy. Butler's where it happened. Thomas Crooks is the kid who took the shot at Trump. He obtained the Thomas Crooks social media posts the FBI claimed didn't exist. Then he called Kash Patel and Dan Bongino looking for, this is just a load of crap, guys.
I know that about Butler. I know that Trump shut down the investigation into Butler. That is a fact. Dan Bongino told me that when he worked at the FBI.
That's a lie.
And Dan Bongino himself was terrified when I spoke to him in December. It's such a long, boring story, but basically I came into possession, I beg your pardon, accidentally came into possession of a lot of the social media posts that we were told didn't exist, that were posted by Thomas Crooks in the months and years before the shooting. And I was amazed that the FBI had lied about this. So I called Kash Patel and I later called Dan Bongino and I says, what is this? I'm not attacking you. It was the previous FBI administration that did this.
Now, all of this BS that he's spewing right now, you guys might believe it if you didn't come across my show. You guys might believe there's something up in Butler with the assassination that is covered up by the Trump administration or by Charlie Kirk or by the Jews, Erica Kirk. All these accusations out there. Now, if you want to live in a lie, this channel is going to be a real tough place for you because my channel knows I'm only here to rescue people one mind at a time with evidence. So when someone makes a claim about what Dan Bongino did say or think, where would a good journalist go? Where would you go to find out what Dan Bongino did, said, or thought? Would you go to Tucker Carlson or Mario Narfal, secondary accounts? No, I'll go right to the source. Dan Bongino eviscerating Tucker Carlson over what he just said.
Let's address his 2 points. He says that the president shut down the Butler investigation. Totally, completely, 100% made up. But we did a full interview with Brooke Singman from Fox, which to all the people who, by the way, think Tucker's for real, if you think I'm doctoring any of this, please go look this article up yourself. Don't trust me, trust the evidence. Here it was, November 21st, even before Tucker says he spoke to me in December. Exclusive. FBI concludes Trump shooter Crooks acted alone after unprecedented global investigation.
So that FBI, that's Kash Patel and Dan Bongino.
Arby's pecan chicken salad sandwich, made by hand, eaten by mouth.
Here's how to go from $300 a month on AC to almost zero.
I got a 2-part Jasmine Crockett, they said she had buried herself on camera. It's a two-parter. It just came out on TikTok.
We built this portable cooling system that can drop a room's temperature by up to 17 degrees in just 90 seconds. But power companies don't want you to find out about this. It's smaller than a...
They concluded it.
Now, he says the investigation was shut down. Yet here it is on the record in November. Again, the Tucker fans will apologize for him until the end of time because they just can't give up the Kool-Aid.
That's a problem with conspiracy theorists, guys. So I'm trying to liberate all of us from the belief in things that don't exist without any evidence. I get it that we have that human nature to do that. So I'm always trying to provide you with better evidence.
Let me read this to you in case you're a Tucker fan who can't read. The case, that's the Crooks case, he says was shut down, currently sits in a pending inactive status. Wait, keep this up. Andy, does that say the case is closed? Andy's shaking his head. Jasmine, does that say that? It does not. No, it says the opposite. This is before Tucker claims he talked to me. But the official, this is one of the investigators, called the investigation one of the largest mobilizations of FBI resources in history that continued to this day. But keep this up, guys. Tucker just made a claim that he has texts that I told him President Trump shut down the investigation. So we lied to Brooke Singman in November?
Tucker said they shut it down out of terror and that Donald Trump demanded they shut it down and that they obeyed. Now he's going to bring up the texts between he and Tucker. Let me scrub ahead to it here. He brings up the texts, private texts between he and Tucker that proves with their conversation that Tucker knew Dan Bongino told him different. And Tucker basically just wouldn't buy it. That's the truth, according to Dan Bongino.
The prior deputy director had said that there was no online footprint, which was a mistake. He said that was the prior leadership. I responded to Tucker. I'm obviously leaving his number out of it, but this is his number. And, you know, if I don't want to get involved with media people, but if one designated person I trust in the media wants to see him to verify, I can do that too. I said, none of this equates to no online footprint for crooks. None of it. I'm not defending anything, but the facts, we briefed the president on the case in the Oval. I was there. He was satisfied that his questions were answered. President Trump has stated this publicly. I will address the public's interest in more information with principals, cashing them, but I'm not the final decision maker. I was the deputy. But none of this is going to change the facts in the case. And he accused me of reflexively defending the FBI. And I responded, and the reflexively defend the FBI argument's absurd. No one's done more to reform the FBI, address corruption, and make drastic personnel changes and change the culture.
That's true. Dan Bongino has gutted the FBI. He's never defended the FBI. Never. So this whole story is Tucker Carlson's going, oh, this is obvious. You always defend the FBI. He's never defended the FBI. So this is Tucker being greasy, in my view. And he's allowed to do that. Look, dude, go have your show, have a successful career. I'm happy. I'm not covetous of Tucker Carlson's career. I want him to be as successful as the audience wants him to be. Have fun. But when you're influencing politics and voters and my audience starts repeating your lies, then I go, now I got to do a bunch of work. Now I got to go and explain to a bunch of people telling me that Dan Bongino's compromised, or you don't know about the actual Butler incident. No, I have the receipts, guys, or Dan Bongino has it. He's the direct source.
One, which is true. Now, you may say, let's see more receipts. I claimed in this text that he's claiming, just to be clear, do you guys see anything in this text, anything at all in the audience, Tucker fans or anyone else? Do you see anything in this text he claims to have that says the president shut down the investigation? He's just making this up.
Yep.
Now I say the president, who we briefed on the matter, was completely satisfied with it, which he told us. He not only told us, he told the Daily Caller the exact same thing. I thought he shut down the investigation that we told Fox News was not shut down. Quote, Daily Caller. Trump says he's, quote, very satisfied with the official narrative on Butler assassination. June 2026. Look this up yourself. Hey, Justin, who founded the Daily Caller? Because you may say, well, this is just bias, Dan. This is a pro-FBI. Oh, my gosh, Tucker Carlson and Neil Patel. There's ChatGPT. Here's another text where he claims the opposite. Again, he has secret info. He claims somehow that
This is the mark of the conspiracy theorists, guys. It's always the secret info. When people, it happens in my own chat, guys. I see it every day. It might be bots, but it's people in my own audience that go like, you're so gullible. You don't know the truth. The truth. When it's all revealed, the truth will be revealed. Everyone will believe. We got receipts. It's always something that's not actually there. You know, show me a clear video of a UFO. They just released more UFO footage today. They're these sky lanterns we used to make. Put a candle on 2 sticks and you put a dry cleaning bag over it and it floats up in the air and it glows and it floats in the night. One of the videos that I saw for sure was one of those lanterns. No proof.
President told him otherwise. Weird. Like he never said that to anyone else but Tucker. It seems like Tucker always has this secret info no one else has.
Yeah.
Here's his response. What are the facts? I still don't even know. You could have read them in the Brooks Singman November interview, but you chose not to because you like to be stupid. He acted.
I didn't know anything about this story, you guys. And that was a big video on Doug tonight.
Completely alone. Just read the report. No help from anyone. That's the claim. It's hard to believe, but the FBI could do a lot to prove it. You mean like giving a full-length hour interview to Fox News about it? They won't, which we already did.
Now, one thing that I will say about this, guys, that I did learn about Tucker Carlson, and to me, this is the most interesting part of it. If this is how he talks to Dan Bongino in private, it means he's a true believer. You know what I'm saying? I used to think, is he just getting paid? Is he a liar for cash? No, he's pushing back on Dan Bongino. Tucker Carlson is a true conspiracy theorist. He truly believes this crap. That's actually, I always ask if Candace Owens is crazy, schizo, or just getting paid a lot. And I always want to give them an out going, man, I hope they're just taking money for this to say this garbage and they're not true believers, because I'd feel sad that they were that miserable of a person to live in that kind of a lie. Tucker's a true believer. That's what these texts prove.
Why? I sincerely don't understand. This is him playing stupid again. He never understands anything. Ask Milk Bar TV. I asked Cash and Rick on background to explain, but they refused. I'm totally confused, but clearly this is not good. And by the way, in point of fact, Trump does not believe the official story at all. He's told me that to my face. Here's the secret information he claims to have. Again, never produces any shred of evidence. I just produced to you evidence of the exact opposite. He's in his own outlet, but yet he's got secret information. Sounds like he's bullshitting you, doesn't it? Here's the other text where I actually go on to further make the case. Next, to him. He said, I hope you had the chance, Tucker said, to see the piece on crooks. We received some information and are planning a detailed follow-up. Is there someone I can talk to at the FBI before we do? Thanks. I said, I saw it, and that you seem to believe that Cash and I, who are longtime personal friends with the president, are involved in some sinister cover-up is absurd. I thought he said we were covering it up. Yet in my text, leave this up, guys. I'm saying the exact opposite, Justin, am I not? It's almost like he's bullshitting you again. Is the president in on it too, I asked? He's one of the victims. He's told us repeatedly, as he said publicly, he's satisfied with the effort Cash and I put in. The president's a victim in a federal crime. And when he's ready for us to release more information about this crime, then he'll tell us. I suggest you give him a ring and tell him you want more. Let me know what he says. He's a member of the media. People call him all the time, which we went on to give more to Fox News and gave him a whole interview. Here's the next one. This is the whole exchange. It's not personal, which is personal with Tucker. He's just envious of everyone else because he's a personal. I said it is personal. Stop playing games and be honest. You're suggesting that the FBI, Cash and I currently lead, is deliberately misleading.
Yep.
I watched the video talking about his. It's ridiculous. We exhausted lead in this case and our conclusions stand because the evidence backs it up. What possible motive would I have to cover up the evidence? Money? That's hilarious. Flicks? Make it make sense to me.
They can never make it make sense, and that call ends there. This is every cockamamie, crackpot, conspiracy. It's not there. It's not there. Let us know where.
Okay, that was another. I don't know if Kim was listening to it or not. I don't know if she was working or not, but she was here this afternoon. Okay, two-part. We haven't heard from Jasmine. Oh. Shoot. I got to play this one. I got to get that set up. I thought I had it set.
Purposes only, of course. All things stated in all videos, things shared here are just speculation. Just goofing around. Not even the men in black can make this go away at this point. Oh, I just love social media. Yes. Because mainstream media, bye girl, bye. And whoever came up with that BS cockamamie ridiculous story that hundreds and hundreds of Miami police officers were dispatched to the Miami Mall because of a fight between kids with sticks, you're fired. Not today, Satan, not today. Multiple witnesses claim to have seen 8 to 10 feet tall creatures in the mall that struck panic. People were pew-pewing to protect and save their own lives, and everyone was running. It was mayhem. But we got you. Well, we got it on film. Thanks to a couple of very amazing, incredible followers of mine, Eagle Eye followers, they spotted it. And when I tell you guys, yeah, be prepared, because you are about to see something that in your lifetime, if you've been lucky enough, you have never seen before. A Nephilim, a demonic fallen angel spirit, 8 to 10 roaming the streets of our world. Roll the tape. Oh, that's me. I got Huh? We'll wait. Oh, really? We'll wait while you try to come up with some ridiculous story. How much time do you need? I can't hear what they say about this, because that, my friends, is definitely not a kid with a stick. That is a whole A demonic creature, a Nephilim. Let's take a look at it again, this time in slow motion. Ha ha, we got you. Well, okay, hold on.
Okay, Auntie there. Tomorrow night we might have Captain Kyle and Robert. Okay, they got their round table tonight, so hopefully we'll have that, and hopefully we'll have Mel tomorrow too. God dang it! What? Why that going up on that? Ah! Hang on. Oh, Sports Player came out. Hang on, you guys. Okay, hopefully this will work. Ah! God darn it. Yeah, this is the video clip, you guys, of everybody.
He hit him one time, 2 inches.
I never saw it yet.
This wasn't someone who said, hey, let me stab you 5, 6, 7 times.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So what we have here today is Jasmine Crockett, the woke Democrat from out of Texas, who recently lost her re-election. She's out here trying to make a name for herself. So she's out here trying to defend a convicted murderer, Carmelo Anthony, who took the life of Austin Metcalf and got 35 years in prison. Jasmine Crockett is out here trying to defend Carmelo, which is causing a lot of outrage. And the things that she's saying will not only surprise you, but cause you to question her sanity as well. Let us get into it by starting with this interview where Jasmine Crockett completely humiliated herself. I'll try to make it play as much as possible, but I'll be interjecting maybe once or twice. Play clip.
Rep Crockett, you might have seen that Carmelo Anthony was sentenced to 35 years. I want to get your reaction to the trial and the verdict.
My heart breaks. For so many reasons. And so I was just speaking to a student that is shadowing me who wants to be a public defender. And so it takes me back to what actually made me decide to get into this legislative work in the first place, because I know that our systems are broken. And what we saw with that verdict is the evidence of a broken system. Now listen, from everything that I understand, which I wasn't at the trial because obviously I got a day job, but it's my understanding that Carmelo ended up stabbing, puncturing, I don't know what this tool was that they talk about, knife, or some refer to it as a tool. He ended up hitting Austin one time, and it was about where he hit him. One time, 2 inches. This wasn't someone who said, hey, let me stab you 5, 6, 7 times. And so
let us break it right there, because there's a lot that we need to unpack. So if you're not familiar with this case, so basically Carmelo Anthony went under a tent at a track meet that didn't belong to him or his team. And then Austin Metcalf came under the tent and asked him to leave. And Carmelo Anthony didn't want to leave, had his hand in his backpack where there was a knife. He was holding a knife. And Austin Metcalf nudged him on the shoulder like, hey, man, get out of here. And Carmelo Anthony pulled his hand out of the backpack with a knife and stabbed Austin Metcalf. Took his life. And what they claimed in court was self-defense, which clearly it wasn't self-defense at all. And right here, Jasmine Crockett, she's claiming that the system is not working. But let us reverse the roles for a little bit. Let us say it was Austin Metcalf who took the life of Carmelo Anthony. Do you think Jasmine Crockett and the rest of the activists that are out there protesting, do you think they'll be saying the same thing, saying the system is racist? They would not be. They'll be outraged. They'll be out there protesting and rioting and breaking things. And this is to show you that it's not about the justice system. It is about creating a narrative that helps them politically. But let us continue the video, because here we have Jasmine Crockett continuing to try to justify what Carmelo Anthony did. Play clip.
When you're looking at the punishment range, there's a reason in Texas that it goes from 5 to 99 or life, because you are looking at how intentional, like how bad was this? 35 years for a kid who had decided to go under a tent that was not his team's tent as it was raining, and simply didn't want to be put out in the rain by some random kid that he didn't know, who was larger than him. Listen, a lot of people don't know what it is to live as a Black person in this country, but just like you can give the benefit of the doubt to so many police officers when they go out and they shoot some Black unarmed person, even though they are trained, the fact that there was little to no mercy seen.
Here we have Jasmine Crockett trying to justify the actions of Carmelo Anthony to make the argument that he's just a kid. But how many kids do you know that are showing up to a track meet with a knife to take the life of someone else?
He's right.
And the thing is, as a member of Congress, I would hope Jasmine Crockett would recognize this situation for what it is, because it's murder and you have to call it out. And here we have Jasmine Crockett continuing to double down and pulling the race card. Play clip, because she's saying the quiet part out loud.
Okay, part 2.
Or the fact that honestly, anybody else who did something with such a small object, all I know is that it wasn't considered unlawful carrying of a weapon because the blade was not long enough. That they wouldn't even say, well, maybe this was more so something that looked like manslaughter.
Well, some people might say, why are you even bringing a knife like that to a track meet?
Yeah, people may say that, but walk a day in my shoes and then respond. Because we as Black folks say, why is it that people need long armed guns when we are going out and having a First Amendment protest? But people say that's their right. They are allowed to do that. And again, it wasn't against the law for him to have it. It may have been prohibited by school rules, which he wasn't at his school at the time, but it definitely was not against the law.
So you think
this is one of the silliest arguments that I've heard this entire time throughout this entire case, coming from a member of Congress, coming from someone who claims to be a lawyer, because she's claiming that it is not illegal. It wasn't illegal for Carmelo Anthony to have a knife. The question is, well, it might not be illegal, right? It might be legal for him to carry that knife. But the question is, did that give him the right to utilize that knife? And the answer is no. It's just like me deciding to exercise my Second Amendment right to go out in public with a firearm. Will that give me the right to utilize that firearm? The answer is no, because at the end of the day, I need a reason. If someone comes up and nudge me on the shoulder, tell me, hey, buddy, move out the way, can I automatically shoot that person? And the answer is no. And this is the argument that a member of Congress is presenting to the American people. This is the argument that's coming from a lawyer, or a so-called lawyer, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people think that she's incompetent.
So you think race played a role in the verdict?
Oh my God. I know Collin County. So absolutely. Collin County is right north of Dallas County. And I can tell you that I have had cases that I felt like played out differently because of the counties that they were in. And unfortunately, that was not the county for a Black boy.
So if this were a white boy in his exact same position, you don't think he'd get a 35-year sentence?
I would guarantee you it wouldn't have happened. I don't even know if he would have been convicted, because if a white boy would have said that they were afraid of a Black boy, something tells me that that jury that didn't have any Black people on it, they would have believed him in his fear.
Well, there's so many different opinions on this case. I mean, even your Republican colleague, Randy Fine, he's saying that he should get the death penalty. Your take on that?
again, racism.
The only argument that the left has right now is oppression, racism, whether it's black folks being oppressed, trans folks being oppressed, gay folks being oppressed, immigrants being oppressed. Instead of presenting logical arguments to the American people as to why we should vote for them, these are the things that you hear from them. Everything has to do with racism or oppression, which is just insane. And Jasmine Crockett is the prime example of that. And to make matters worse, here we have a video of Jasmine Crockett trying to claim that black women, they're the victim in this entire thing. This whole thing between Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, when Austin Metcalf and his family, they're the victims in this because they lost a son, they lost a brother, but somehow black women are the victims, which most black women that I've been talking to that are in my life, my family, they aren't the victims. But let's watch this video and then we'll talk about it. Play clip.
Black women, especially black women who have black male children, live in fear and agony every single day. A fear and agony that I promise you, the Metcalfs probably never spent a day living that way. And we're gonna have to have just some real conversations about race in this country.
You're telling me, based on their logic, you're telling me that Mr. and Mrs. Metcalf will not be living in agony after they lost a son. That somehow Jasmine Crockett, she's the one who's living in agony. How is this even possible? You're telling me that Carmelo Anthony took the life of someone and somehow black women as a whole, they're living in agony, which, as I mentioned before, my family, sisters, aunts, mom, grandma, cousins, everyone in my family that I talked to about this issue condemned what Carmelo Anthony did. You have to be a special type of ignorant for you to be coming up with these ideas and trying to frame this narrative. And that brings us to the end of this video. Please let me know what you think in the comment section in regards to Jasmine Crockett and all the stuff that she said throughout this video. Also, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, that guy did pretty good. Probably go. I don't know what his name was, but shout out. That's the one that video that everybody was talking about. So let's see here. Let me know on this one, you guys. Replay this one here.
Put 10 people in a room. About 7 of them would be against data centers. Close to half are really not going to like them. But why is that? Are data centers really so bad? Why should anyone care? Well, look, it turns out that while data centers make the joys of AI possible, they also come with some major cost to quality of life, the environment, and what the average American is being forced to pay. And on the other side, look, there's the AI race, not just domestically, but internationally. A report from the Bitcoin Policy Institute uncovered a large-scale information effort coming out of China aimed at derailing American development of artificial intelligence. And what it showed, CCP state media has been running hit pieces against American AI data centers. It found that more than $2 billion in foreign funding is pushing similar anti-AI campaigns. And it actually uncovered a large network of nonprofits aligned with the CCP driving many of these efforts. So taken as a whole, the report says this, that there's a trail from Beijing's state media apparatus through a CCP-aligned nonprofit network to foreign billionaire dark money tied to the push for a federal moratorium on AI data centers. And meanwhile, according to Data Center Watch, local pushback, it's actually working. It's blocked or delayed around $98 billion in data center projects across the country. And that's just in the second quarter of 2025. Now, from the standpoint of national security, the main concern is that if America falls behind, well, other countries like China, they're going to dominate the future of AI and everything that comes with it, which is a lot. Jobs, innovation, even warfighting capabilities. And the pushback is actually getting so tense that law enforcement right now is warning of possible violence. They're calling it anti-tech extremism. But with that said, there are some very real concerns. For example, some are against the future of artificial intelligence just overall. Parents worried about kids with the rise of AI girlfriends and predatory deepfakes. Others are worried about jobs. What happens when companies can replace artists, writers, animators, musicians, coders, and just a whole slew of other positions? What place do people even have in that future? And others are worried about global issues, mass surveillance, AI weapon systems, just automated tyranny. But for others, the problems stem from the data centers themselves. The Harvard Gazette summed it up pretty well, saying basically there are two sides of the coin. Opponents are worried about water and electricity needed to run the data centers. Big tech say the benefits of jobs and economic potential, well, that outweighs the costs. So what's the reality with these data centers? Are the concerns real, or are they just exaggerations? Let's start from the top. First off, on the energy demands. There are actually some real concerns here. Basically, data centers require massive amounts of energy. So much, in fact, that the entire global green energy push is basically getting thrown out the window. The long-term vision being rolled out is that data centers may even need their own personalized nuclear power plants. But in the meantime, what's happening? Well, they're pulling from the same electric grid as the local communities. And that actually has a direct impact on people because, and this is not very well known, because of the way that electric utilities work, people have to pay extra on their electric bills thanks to the data centers. According to the Department of Energy, data load growth has tripled over the last decade and is projected to double or triple by 2028. It notes that in 2023, data centers were using around 4.4% of all electricity in the entire United States. And that by 2028, they're expected to use between 6.7 and 12%. And as things currently stand, look, that's not sustainable. We don't generate enough energy in the country to support that. So we're seeing two things take place. On one side, there's a huge push to build new power plants. And in the meantime, this means less supply and a whole lot more demand.
Maria?
In other words, prices go up.
Thank you.
The Environmental and Energy Study Institute puts it like this. Natural gas power plants are being built and existing coal power plants are being propped up to meet the surging demand from producers. And also in the meantime, it adds, electricity bills are spiking for many households, contributing to an affordability crisis, particularly for the most vulnerable communities. And look, the higher costs people are paying are pretty significant. Consumer Report says this, that for the average residential cost of electricity, prices jumped 7.1% in 2025, more than double the inflation rate, and top 20% in some states, according to federal data. And we still haven't even seen the worst of it, as new massive data centers are still going up, in fact. It notes that the typical data center uses around 100 megawatts of energy. What does that mean? Put that in perspective. That's about as much energy as 100,000 households. That's expected to use New Orleans, according to the Institute on Taxation. So what does that have to do with electricity costs, right? And look, you'd think that everyone pays their own electric bill, and that if data centers are pulling in that much power, well, they're probably going to be shouldering the costs, right? Well, not quite. You see, there's an issue with how utilities charge people. They actually tend to pass the cost of infrastructure to all customers. So in other words, if these massive companies are draining the wires, so to speak, you're the one footing the bill. Now, Ari Pescoe, he's the director of the Electricity Law Initiative. That's at the Harvard Law School Environmental and Energy Law program. And notes this, consumers often foot the bill for complicated infrastructure needed to hook these facilities up to the existing system.
These facilities are using so much energy that utilities are building billions of dollars of infrastructure to support them and spreading those costs to all of us. The business model of the utility industry for now more than 100 years has been to invest in their systems and then spread those costs for everyone. That's always thought to be the fair approach to.
Let's use Airtable to.
The last half hour, I'm going to play all short ones, you guys. I got a lot of short ones.
To create a bespoke app to manage physical product development using data trapped in static PDFs that look like this. We're developing
Supporting our electricity system.
Harvard Law had an interview with Ari Pescoe, and he explains this further, saying there are two ways that data centers can raise rates for everyone. First, the utility is building new infrastructure to provide energy to data centers and spreads those costs to all ratepayers. Second, it says, certain energy prices that the utility pays are set through markets. And when demand goes up and supply doesn't go up fast enough to meet it, prices go up. Basically, what you have here is socialized costs. And isn't sharing wonderful? Think of it as equitable. And part of the issue is, look, it's an issue if there are just a few data centers pulling in power like this. But as things currently stand, it's not just a few of them. There are more than 3,100 data centers already operating in the United States alone. And that number is growing really fast. But it should also be noted, this isn't like a forever problem, at least not entirely. It will change as more power plants get built, so there's less price competition for the limited resource. And in the meantime, well, there are many states changing regulations so that data centers do not pass on the cost to the local community. But energy isn't the only problem. Another glaring issue with data centers is environmental impact. And I don't mean global warming. I tend to look at events a little differently than most people. Not just what's happening on the surface, but the deeper patterns shaping the world around us. And in today's world, economics is not just about markets. We've seen how authoritarian systems use economic pressure, control over resources to create vulnerabilities that can be exploited. That's why I believe in owning something tangible. Physical gold and silver from American Hartford Gold, the company I trust. These are tangible assets, not dependent on political systems or institutional stability. Gold has preserved value through inflation, currency shifts, and periods of global uncertainty. American Hartford Gold has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, thousands of 5-star reviews. They can deliver gold and silver directly to your door or help set up a gold IRA if you're thinking a city of 50,000 billion gallons of water in 2025, and that's projected to increase to as much as 399 billion gallons of water over the next 5 years. And even beyond that, another problem is air pollution. But that has more to do with the huge increase in energy, all the new power plants. Maybe that's why the talking heads are suddenly dropping the narrative on fossil fuels. They're about to come back big, along with the new boom, by the way, in nuclear power. Because although there are some states like California that require them to also use various forms of so-called green energy, for the most part, green energy cannot sustain this. But wait, there's more. Now, quick question. Do you enjoy paying taxes? Do you wake up each morning and shed a happy tear thinking how your hard-earned tax dollars are helping pay for all those wonderful services and for the people who just plain old don't feel like working? Bless their hearts. Well, good news. You can also help pay for data centers, building the future together. Data centers, it turns out, they get to enjoy subsidies and tax benefits. And some states actually give them tax breaks on materials needed to get things running. Others give them ongoing benefits. And when everything is taken into account, what that means, this is costing many states a whole lot of money. It means you're paying for it. According to Good First Job, at least 10 states already lose more than $100 million per year in tax revenue to data centers, the cloud computing warehouses that were proliferating before artificial intelligence greatly accelerated their growth. Now, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures, it says currently 38 states offer dedicated tax incentives for data centers ranging from sales and use tax exemptions for computers and electricity to property tax abatements. And look, that isn't without reason, of course. The hope they have is these massive data centers are going to go on to, create high-paying local jobs, boost the local economy, create work where there wasn't work before. But this is also becoming another point of contention because you see, there were definitely jobs during the construction phase. People need to build it. But once those jobs are finished, they don't necessarily require a lot of jobs to keep the data centers running. Maybe 50 to 100 full-time workers, even for the big ones. And a lot of those will be industry specialists. And some of this could also be overstated. A report from Brookings says this: data centers do create local jobs, though fewer than industry advocates claim. It notes that naive estimates that fail to account for pre-existing growth trends overstate the effect by a factor of 3. And while that's not terrible, I mean, hey, work is work. The other factor with data centers is just the way that AI is expected to affect employment overall. Why hire someone if you can use AI to do their job? Food and Water Watch notes that many big tech businesses, they're already culling jobs in the age of AI. That's just one example. Google is poised to pour billions more into Anthropic and cut 7,500 jobs elsewhere in the company. And look, last but not least, there's another key issue that many people have with data centers. Basically, they're unpleasant, okay? They're loud, they're not exactly pretty to look at, but some of this also goes beyond just being annoying. It turns out that the ongoing low-frequency hum that these data centers emit can be heard up to 2 miles away. And some people say that constant sound actually messes up their sleep. Others claim more serious things, headaches, migraines. Others report a whole slew of other problems. And take this all together, well, the data centers also have the effect of lowering housing values in the surrounding areas. The Environmental and Energy Study Institute notes this: data centers emit sounds from the humming of cooling systems, rumbling of diesel generators, and whirring of fans, which can be heard for hundreds of feet around them. So look, with all this in mind, I think it's fair that some people don't like data centers. They definitely bring a lot of problems to local communities. But it's important to note also, it does seem that work is underway to at least mitigate some of these problems. Now look, without a doubt, in the past, the Industrial Revolution also saw problems like this. Startup from new factories, noise, pollution, overall blight to communities. But as time went on, things did change. When things stabilized, some people chose not to live close to the factories. Technologies got cleaner, they got quieter, local laws caught up to at least mitigate some of the harm. And with AI and data centers, we're also now watching laws catch up with them. Now, in my personal take, a lot of these problems could have way simpler solutions. Like, for example, why not build the data centers in cold climates? Northern Alaska sounds like a way better idea than Texas. Think how much money you'd save to cool them. I hear Canada has some prime real estate, hint, hint, wink, wink. And look, on the energy front, a lot of the problems will also be solved as they start building new power plants. But look, what do you think? Do you think data centers are really that big of a problem? Do you think the juice is worth the squeeze when it comes to AI? Will this eventually lead to more jobs, or will it lead to less? Let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time.
Okay, I was sorry I had to replay that come on yesterday. I got about 5 short ones. First one is another Air Force, a 4-minute one. One minute. It's a Navy, I know it's Air Force, sorry. gonna see like this baby one. Yeah, I never seen one of those Navy those planes there. I just saw this video. Just going by, I saw it. That was a good one. Yep, I just saw that one. Okay, we got the one lady. I don't know what English she speaks, but it's a good. The one lady that's really popular. Three minutes.
Mr. President, you can never trust any deal with Iran. Are you familiar with the Al-Hudaybiyah strategy of war in Islam? It is the signing of a peace treaty with your enemy to deceive your enemy so you can use the time to restructure and rebuild and then attack when they least expect it. It is based on the treaty signed by Muhammad in 628, which he used against the Meccans, called the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah. In 628, Muhammad traveled towards Mecca with 1,400 of his followers and made camp nearby at Al-Hudaybiyah. He and his men used to attack the Meccan caravans and steal their goods. Muhammad knew he couldn't win that fight, so he agreed to sign a 10-year peace treaty with them. The treaty became known as the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah. The Meccans believed they had peace. Muhammad used that treaty to rejuvenate and rebuild his army. He then attacked Mecca 2 years later when the Meccans least expected it. Mecca fell within 24 hours. This became an official strategy of war in Islam used for centuries. A perfect recent example is Yasser Arafat signing the Oslo Accord with Israel in 1993. When Arafat signed the Oslo Accord, journalists in the Arabic world would ask him in disbelief, how could you sign a peace deal with the devil, Israel? Arafat would tell them in Arabic, remember al-Hudaybiyah, تذكروا al-Hudaybiyah, while he would speak about peace in English. Everyone in the Islamic world understood what Arafat was doing, while the Jews were singing Shalom Achshav, peace now in Tel Aviv, rejoicing that finally we have peace with the Palestinians. Arafat used the Oslo Accord to return to the Palestinian territory, establish the Palestinian Authority.
Good night, kid. Have a good night. Your first good night with your baby. Welcome to Bella. You and Chico will meet tomorrow.
Get and arm his police, and within 8 years, the Palestinians launched the Second Intifada. Suicide bombers exploded in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and Jewish blood spilled on the streets. And here we are today. Mr. President, you can never trust the radical Iranian mullahs who consider us the great Satan. The mullahs don't want peace with us. They want time, just like Muhammad at Al-Hudaybiyah and just like Arafat after Oslo. They will use any agreement to rebuild, rearm, and strike when we least expect it. The Iranian regime is a cancer, and the only way to deal with cancer is to destroy it, not manage it, not negotiate with it, and certainly not make deals with it. Please finish the job and remove this regime from power before it has the chance to attack us. Because if you don't, it will come back. And next time, the blood won't just be on the streets of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. It will be on ours. And we will not have you, Mr. President, to protect us. The time for half measures is over. Please destroy the cancer. Thank you.
Okay, another good one from her. All right, I'm going to finish the last one up with the Wire channel. I'm getting tired. I tried. I want to stay up and watch the soccer game. Tomorrow's schedule is up in the air. Just stand by tomorrow. What did I just do now? Hold on. Hang it. I messed up. Hold on. What is going on here? Oh boy.
Six. Presidence's routine. Information Office 2200. Bottom line up front. Belfast riots continue. Mass shooting reported in Texas. Rhetoric and diplomatic tensions remain as talk of potential settlement continues regarding war in the Middle East. Beginning with international events. In the Middle East last night, Iranian state media released some details of the alleged memorandum of understanding, which is allegedly being considered by Iran and the United States. 40 minutes after the opening bell on Wall Street this morning, President Trump announced on social media that the terms of the alleged memorandum of understanding, as leaked by the Iranians, are not what has been discussed privately. No details were provided on what items were disputed. In Scotland, yesterday, Ilya Belov and Nadezhda Belov were both convicted of threatening or abusing behavior toward 4 girls who were at the center of a major scandal last year. As it turns out, the initial claims made by the legendary Hatchet Girl were true. This brother-sister team were attempting to target the girls, and when they resisted being attacked, the Belov family called the police and complained of racism. This prompted the now viral video recording by which the girls defended themselves with knives and hatchets. This court case confirmed that the girls were telling the truth about being assaulted, as CCTV footage which exonerated them was initially ignored by Police Scotland, but was uncovered during the trial. On the home front in Texas this afternoon, an active shooter incident was reported in Midland after unknown circumstances resulted in a protracted firefight on West Wall Street. Local authorities first announced the situation as a barricaded shooter incident as an individual began firing at passersby from a structure near an old veterinary clinic. Around a dozen people were wounded in some manner during the shooting, and the shooter was killed at the scene. The suspect has been identified as Victor Mata
Have a good one,
Villarreal.
JJ.
Analysts comment. The circumstances of the shooting are sketchy at best. The area is not a crowded venue that is the normal target for mass shooters, and the exact location of the shooting has not yet been disclosed. It's possible that the shooter was concealed in a fighting position inside the abandoned veterinary clinic and was shooting at passing cars on the highway. However, this is pure speculation based on the geolocation of videos taken at the scene. Some reports claim that Villarreal was a Mexican national with a visa overstay, but this is not confirmed at this time. Analyst comments for this wire. In the Middle East, rhetoric on all sides has continued overnight, and parsing all of the latest developments is challenging due to many contradictions flying around. As of this report, some sort of memorandum of understanding is allegedly ready to be signed on Sunday. This MOU is reportedly not a peace deal, but a formalization of the ceasefire that was supposed to be implemented this entire time. These types of documents are fairly standard in the world of diplomacy, as it's generally a waste of time to send diplomats around the world to engage in talks if neither side is at least in the ballpark when it comes to what they might accept. An MOU being signed is a step toward peace, but it's not a peace deal itself. So far, the United States has not been entirely forthcoming regarding the details, but as of early this morning, President Trump has refuted the plan that the Iranians have leaked. However, in the absence of any clarification or detail of the plan being disclosed, we have to go off of what the Iranians are claiming for now. The grand question remains, what's on the table for negotiations? First and foremost, the alleged MOU results in a 60-day extension of the alleged ceasefire, which is a period of time that will be used to work toward a final deal. Mostly, the MOU includes the 14-point plan that is very similar to what's already been disclosed. The nuclear issue is allegedly not being addressed in this memorandum, and Iran's missile program is completely off the table altogether. The Iranians would open the strait but retain control of it. Funds that have been frozen by the United States would be released to the Iranians, and the status of the long-standing array of sanctions would be worked out during the 60-day extension period. As far as what the United States will get in return, it does not seem like much, which is probably why President Trump denied the details of this leak this morning. The Strait of Hormuz being open to allow American and other Western-aligned vessels through would be the only real bone for the United States, but there is also talk of including some of the magic dirt, allegedly radioactive debris from the Midnight Hammer strikes, though this has not been clarified as of yet. It's almost certain that neither the U.S. nor Israel would accept this deal as it stands, but until the U.S. reveals what they claim their terms are, all of the rhetoric of the past few days leaves the situation exactly as it's been for months. This concludes The Wire for 2300 Zulu, June 12th, 2026.
All right, you guys. 9 o'clock already. My goodness. All right, yeah. So tomorrow, look for me in the afternoon. Later in the afternoon, I guess. Might do one long show tomorrow. Unless something happens. If we get breaking news, like I always say every day. All right, thanks much. Okay, Michael, Carol, Lucy, Tim, Carol, or where is it? All right. Bless everybody, love all, everything like, and stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith, and anti-sign she gave me, never give up. Everyone have a good weekend if I don't see you over the weekend. And sign off, Chico Nude, and our new family member, Bella, a new dog. And we'll see you all tomorrow.